Justin. Hi, hello, Michael Armanno, and I am the principal designer here at Kalypso Couture. I am joined today by my apprentice Dana, and I have a very special guest, a lifelong friend from Germany, and he is visiting us here in Jacksonville, Florida, in my home office. And he's going to be helping us out today doing a mock consultation, a demonstration of what a private consultation looks like when you are designing a bespoke suit with us here at Kalypso Couture. So today we're going to focus primarily on measurements, style selection, and fabric selection. So those are the big three. Typically in a consultation, the first thing we do is pick our fabrics because it is the most intensive part of it. If you know what you're looking for, great. If you don't, this is where we get the opportunity to dive into hundreds of luxurious fine fabrics and find the best fit for you. We're going to do that a little bit later so that we can focus here on our measurements. So we'll go ahead and start. Julian, as you can see, is quite a tall young man. Okay, so you might think it'd be very difficult to buy things off the rack, and do you think you would say that that's fairly true?
I completely agree. I just can't find any suit or stuff that fits in the store anymore.
And you had mentioned to me that you were buying a lot of your clothes online.
That's mostly what I do these days, yes.
Yeah, and in that case, we're doing made to measure on most cases. You're punching in your information, so a client in that case would then have someone take their measurements at home or go to a local alteration or tailor shop to get their measurements. You go onto an online platform, you punch those measurements in, and then they are going to take a standard pattern, alter it to fit your specific dimension. That's what we consider made to measure in our industry. Now, what we do here at Kalypso Couture, we are bespoke clothiers, and what that means is that we're actually going to be taking full body dimensions, and we're going to be drafting a new complete pattern for this individual person. So we're not taking a standard size and making it work. We're actually crafting top to bottom for our client here. So that's what we're going to demonstrate today. I'll show you what those measurements and those processes look like along the way. First, we're going to go ahead and start with our jacket measurement. So there are a few tricks that I'll show you along the way to help you finding the right measurement. If you were to shop with us on calypsocouture.com, you can have the opportunity to order made to measure or bespoke. In a bespoke consultation, we would work directly with you to ensure that we get all the exact body measurements. Made to measure, you can punch in your own measurements, send them to us, and then we'll find a fit that's going to be happy for you in that realm of clothing. So what we're going to start with is the jacket length. Now, typically, a suit is a little different than a pant or a vest combo. The goal of a suit, as you can see, is to cut symmetrically the individual right in half. That's really the goal. It's a two-piece. What you consider a suit is the matching fabric for the top and the bottom of a garment. So a lot of times folks may wear slacks and a jacket and they say, oh, I got a nice suit on, this and that. That's actually out of definition. Those would be considered more of an Ivy League style where you have a nice slack, a vest, or a jacket, but they're not matching fabrics. So we are specifically measuring for a suit. So with that being said, what we want is to be able to symmetrically cut our client directly in half. That way everything has a balance and a flow to it. So what we do then, we're going to go ahead and start here at the top of the shoulder. If you have a nice fitting shirt, looks like we have a pretty decent fit here in the t-shirt. The edges of the seams seem to stop right about where the width of the shoulder is, so that's okay. So we're going to start right here at the top. And essentially the trick of the trade, if you can stand with your arms to your side, just casual and comfortable. We're going to start here at the top. And you want to make sure you go around the chest and belly area because that's where your body is going to extend outward. So you want to make sure you have plenty of room to go across there. And the length of the jacket stops at the knuckles. So you can see where the line is typically. Now this is just a trick of the trade. Not everyone is the same. Everyone has a very unique body. So the dimensions may be different. But to take this measurement, this is where we're going to stop right here at the knuckle line. That is your traditional stopping point. Theoretically, you should be able to cut the bottom of your jacket comfortably when you're standing. That's how you know that the fit is right. So in this example, we're taking a look here. We're going to be right about, say, 80 centimeters. And we do everything on metric system because our tailors are located in Hanoi, Vietnam in the fashion district. So obviously most other countries use the metric system. It's best for us to go ahead and utilize that too so we're on the same communication wave. But obviously, if you're at home and you send us inches, that's perfectly fine. We'll do the conversions for you, and we may even consult with you online as well, just to make sure that we're helping you get the best measurement possible. Now, with that being said, there is a trick to go ahead and demonstrate if this is going to be the appropriate measurement or not. So I'm going to jot down, if you don't mind, do you mind taking notes? So I'm basically just following our list here. So what this is length front. We're at 80 centimeters there. Now with that being said, there is a trick to be able to make sure that you have the proper balance. You mind turning around for me? Show me your back. So if you start at the baseline of the neck and you go all the way down to the floor, and obviously your tape's not going to make it that far, so you're going to want to stop at a fairly comfortable number for math purposes. Alright, so we're looking at 120 plus 145. Doing some quick math in my head, I don't know. Let's see, that's 165?
Yeah.
So 165 divided by 2.
Doing that again?
Yep.
133-ish. We got second math.
Yeah, we suck at math. This is why I check my numbers.
So since we're pausing, should we be directing our attention at this one in takes?
Everything, I'm just going to look at that camera
Oh,
the whole
okay.
time. Yeah, unless there's like some interaction.
We'll edit
or
that
something.
out in the post-production for y'all.
Yeah, I mean, the live, you guys get the behind the scenes. This is a production day. I mean, we're working toward getting our processes organized and updated. My measurement video series now is about 10 years old. That's why we're going through this. We're going to be doing some more stuff along the way. So you guys will really enjoy that. I'm going to go ahead and get the... All right, so we should be about 82 and a half.
Yes,
You
sir,
wanna
we got
get that?
that.
All right, cool. So we'll cut back into it. So based on the measurement here, going from the base of the neck all the way to the floor, if you split that in half, that's going to be your symmetrical marker. So I have 82 and a half for the length of the gentleman. Now when I take my tape to it, the first measurement I have is about 80. So you can see that difference is going to be just 2 centimeters or so. But if you're looking at it, you can tell that you should go 82 based on where the knuckle line is. If I'm up here, I'm about 2 centimeters above the knuckle line, which is still fairly comfortable. You can still get the palm of your hand around the jacket, but for symmetry's sake, we do want to add that little bit of extra so that way it has a nice balance. So that's going to update our measurement to 82. I'm going to drop the half to find a nice balance in between the symmetrical marker and the etiquette marker. Does that make sense?
A little. So now we're updating the length front from 80 to 82 now because of the baseline measurement we just took.
Exactly.
Based off of the back thing.
Because our etiquette tells us that the jacket should stop at the knuckle, so based on my measurement, I'm looking at 80. But because the gentleman is a little bit taller, you know, proportions are going to be slightly different for everyone. Everyone has a unique body. We can find a better symmetrical balance by taking our cheat sheet, right, our cheat number, and the number we took, find a happy balance in the middle, and that way we have a very nice symmetrical line to split the client in half.
I wish he gave me a pencil.
No worries, we'll cross it all in.
Crossing it out. It's crossed out already.
I'm a pen kind of guy. I want to get in there and I want to put things on paper, and then I can always adjust along the way.
Yeah, 82.
Yeah, when you're writing with a quill, you can't go back and erase it.
go back.
You know? So
There's
this is
no
how
going
we used to do it. All right, so that's just the front measurement, right? So that's something, a couple little tips and tricks along the way to be able to help you understand what the best balance is going to be. Typically, a sport coat is going to be a little bit shorter with a slightly longer sleeve because it's an outerwear item. It's something you would wear while hunting, so you're going to want a little bit more ease in the activity and the waist area, but you want a little bit more coverage on your sleeve because you don't want to be brushing up against things and have bugs getting at you and stuff like that. So there are kind of little different measurements you might take. For our purposes, we take all of our full body measurements and we'll adjust the style based on what you order. So for this take, what I described here is the best way to take the measurement for your front length. If you don't mind turning around for me, I'll show you the back length now. We're going to start at the same point. Obviously here, that's where your front and your back is going to meet here at the shoulder. And we're going to go all the way down, again, around the middle. And then you want it to stop just under the buttock. You're going to notice that the front measurement is a tad longer because that's where your belly extrudes a touch. So on this one, it's looking like we're going to land right about that 80 mark, which is about where we were on the front before we did our math to make sure that it's symmetrical. So that's perfect because this is going to offer us a great balance. It's going to flow very nicely. It's going to have a very nice symmetrical line on the back. It's going to fall just where it needs to go. So that's how you would take your front and back measurement through your bespoke suit process. What's my next measurement? Should go down to the chest. So this one, I think we should probably swap sides
Swapping sides.
so I can demonstrate the tape a little better. So now we're going to take our chest measurement. What I'm going to have you do is just hold your arms out, and you can put them down at your sides. Take a nice deep breath and then breathe comfortably for me. Now at this point, you want to get the widest circumference of the chest area. This is going to be very important. The most important part of a suit is the chest and the shoulder area. You want to make sure that those measurements are spot on. Everything else can be adjusted, but if your shoulders are off, if your chest is off, it is very difficult to alter. You might as well recreate the entire garment at that point. So what you'll notice here is that I keep 2 fingers in my tape. That's for your breathing sake, right? So can you feel the tape on your skin or on your body here?
I do feel it.
Is it comfortable? Is it too
Oh
tight?
yeah, it's perfect.
Great. So he feels the tape, but it's not too tight. That's very important. You also don't want it to be too loose. You really want it to feel like a gentle hug. Would you say the tape feels like a gentle hug?
I would totally agree.
Excellent. So we're at 98 centimeters on the chest.
This is also up here near the nipple area as well. So that we have to make sure it's in the right spot.
For sure. What you definitely want to take into consideration here, it's all about the widest circumference, because if you're up a little bit on the chest, it's going to be a smaller measurement. If you're down too low, it could start to get into the oblique or stomach area, and you don't want to do that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're on the widest circumference of the chest for this measurement, because that's going to dictate how the rest of the jacket flows. All right, so we got 98.
98.
Excellent. So our chest and shoulders are most important. We now have our chest knocked out. With that being said, we're going to go all the way down, and this is where your jacket's going to start to contour and taper to the body. So our next measurement is going to be in our oblique area, and that is going to be just under the chest where it starts to come in, similar to an hourglass shape. You can stick your arms out for me just a bit. So we're just under the chest now, and you can stand and breathe comfortably as you will. So you can see our tape was here for the chest marker. That's the widest circumference. This is going to be the smallest circumference before it starts to go back out for the stomach and waist area. So this marker is going to be quite a bit smaller. Perhaps what I have on the last one, 89?
Last one was 98. So this one should
98,
be
yeah.
just a little bit less than that.
Yeah, so with that being said, this one, is the tape pretty comfortable? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go 89. Obviously, the measurements for this don't matter to you. This is just for our sake, but it gives you a good idea of the difference between what you would see in the chest area and the oblique. This is where you're going to start to get that contour. You can see here in my coat where it starts to cut inward, and then it goes back out for the hip. That's where we're going to go next. So with that being said, have you eaten today?
I have not.
Okay, so we have to assume that with a meal, we're going to add a little bit of space in the stomach area. So you definitely want to be able to keep that in mind. If you've eaten within the last hour or so, you will be at your fullest point, right? So that way you can get a nice measurement. If you haven't eaten, just add a little bit of extra room, just keeping in mind that there will be some fluctuation with food. Fluctuation.
We're going to edit that out too.
Yeah, we're doing voiceovers. All right, so with this, we're going to do our stomach measurement. At this point, you want to make sure you have the widest part of the stomach. Looks to me like I'm missing the mark a little bit, so I want to get to the roundest part.
I would like to interrupt for just a second.
Yes.
On that obliques, we were still up here on the ribs area. We weren't underneath of the ribs, which would be for him down here. We're still on the ribs, but under the chest muscles directly.
Essentially, where your sternum is going to be where your obliques start. Whereas where your nipple line is, that's where your chest measurement's going to be. So you can kind of get the difference here. Sternum is going to be the oblique. Nipple line is going to be your chest measurement. In the stomach area, do you feel it? Is it too tight, too loose?
It is neither.
I got a couple fingers in here as well. That's going to help account for the extra space we need when a meal is had. So with this one, we're going to be at about 92. Excellent. Now our next measurement, if you could step to the side, rotate there for me. So this measurement we're going to get is the hip measurement. So again, if you think of this in an hourglass shape, you're going to be at your widest point up top. You're going to start to contour and slim in the middle, and then it's going to come back out in the hip area. So our hip area, you want to make sure that you do not have anything in your pockets. Do you have anything in your pockets?
I do not.
Excellent. Nothing in our pockets. We don't have any excess bulge or extra fabric and things like that. This is a fairly lightweight short here. Typically, if you can, you would like to wear a dress slack for the best measurement. For this sake, we're going to be able to accommodate because it is a fairly lightweight fabric and I can adjust on my end. So with that being said, we're going to take the hip measurement now. I'll just have you hold your arms out for me.
The lack of bulge is not what she said.
Lack of bulge in this case. So obviously here you want to make sure again that you are getting the widest circumference of your hip because you do not want your hips to be too tight. This measurement here is going to be important for not only your jacket but the construction of your pants as well, and you can utilize the same measurement for both. So in our case, this feels pretty comfortable, it's not too tight. Excellent. So I could actually tighten it up a little bit in that case to get a little bit more of a modern fit. So in that case, I'm going to go with 112.
Where did you do that? Because the end of the tape wasn't specifically where the 112 was.
Sure.
I'm learning, so I'm getting these little details here.
Alright. So, see where my tape is here?
I do see that.
This is the 2 fingers in. So 111 would be right where the tape meets the belt there. I add an extra centimeter.
Oh, I see.
So
it's
that
the
way,
little marks that are the numbers, not the big marks.
yeah, so it's the big mark is the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So where my tape bit meets the metal there, this full measurement, 111. But I go here and that's 112.
Okay, so you just added that mentally because that's where your finger is now turning. That's
Yes.
why I was thrown off, because the number wasn't where your finger matched.
So if that's the tape, it'll be like this. Okay. So this is what the actual pant would be at 112.
Okay, sure. So with
I
your
mean,
finger there.
Honestly, we could probably tighten it up too, but he hasn't eaten either. So
Right.
I wanna,
We need to always make sure you leave room for your belly to get bigger.
I love eating.
Now the trick is you can always go in. It's harder to go out. In a bespoke garment, you're going to have about 7 centimeters of an allowance, so there should be plenty of room and an adjustment to be able to bring in or out throughout the lifetime of the garment, which should last upwards of 20 years. So with that being said, I add an extra centimeter here at 112 for the fact that if for some reason he gains a little bit of space when he eats or anything like that, he'll have room and it won't be too tight or uncomfortable. But also, if he wants a more modern fit, he could express that and I could adjust that accordingly. And then also, if it ever came to a point where he needed more room, there will be that allowance to be able to expand this in the hip and complement the buttock. I just wanted to throw buttock in there. Buttocks. Cool. So that's your hips. Can you write 111, 112? So it's like 111 next to it, just for my note. Because I'll go with the tighter measurement since I would ship it to you, so I couldn't alter it myself. So I would just go with the tighter measurement. You can always let it out if you need to. Makes sense. So
Yeah,
just
no, that's
for
a good
my
little
benefit.
detail.
All right, cool.
Not only do we offer custom suits, we also offer custom suits that are easy to get altered on your own.
Absolutely. The goal is to be able to take your garment, like I said, most of the important part is chest and shoulders. If that's spot on, a lot of the other different alterations and things can be done with a local tailor alteration shop. When you get your suit in from Kalypso Couture, it is ready to wear, so you should put it on and it should fit perfectly, but sometimes there are little adjustments that may need done along the way. So those are always an opportunity, and you can always reach out to us if you need a referral. We can help you with that as well. That was the hips. So
That
now
was the hips.
shoulder width. I'm going to swap sides. It's going to be important. So I'll have to face the back to the camera. So here we're going to be taking note of our shoulder width. As I mentioned, the chest and the shoulders are the most important part of your suit's fit. If that measurement is off even just a little, it can drastically change the suit. So this is going to be a very important measurement, so I would like for you to pay close attention. This is going to be very dependent on your body style. So when you have an opportunity to get measured by a professional, I always recommend it. But if you need help, you can always call us. We can do online virtual consultation to help walk you through it, or you can watch our video series to get a finer insight onto what these measurements look like. So with that being said, we want to start our measurement where the shoulder ends and the arm begins. It seems like it's a natural thought, but many folks with this measurement, it's based off of standard patterns. So they may start their measurement from the middle of the back, and they'll have you extend your arm such as this. So they're taking this measurement, and they're basically going to duplicate this across the board, and they're taking a measurement that includes both the arm and the shoulder, but there's no fine indicator of where these seams meet, and this is the most important part. So that's why often when you buy a suit jacket or something of the like, it may be just a touch too big in the width of the shoulders, and that's going to cause peaking. If it's too small, then it's going to be pulling, and it's going to create lines. Those are things that you often experience off the rack. That's not something you should be experiencing with your customer bespoke suits. So with that being said, where we start our measurement is going to be with Julian. He's pretty well squared off, so that's very good. In some cases, you may have a bit of a sloped shoulder, and you'll want to be able to kind of see in your head where those seams are going to meet. Keeping in mind that your jacket on most occasions is going to have about 2 centimeters of light padding in the shoulder, so that can help balance in some ways. So for example, if we have a client that has a sloped shoulder, they're going to actually square out a little bit more because of the padding. So that's absolutely going to help with that, making that a little bit more complementary. You may also have a variety of different dimensions and things to work with. So this corner is going to be very important. You want to put a little bit more attention onto this to make sure that you have a very fine measurement here. So like I said earlier in the video, the seams on this are fairly close. Based on my eye, I could tell I probably take about a centimeter off both sides to bring it in more. This is obviously a t-shirt, so there's a little more give and slack to it. So I'll be taking the measurement based on these seams, and I'm going to adjust that according to what I believe is going to be the best point where the sleeve and the shoulder meet. After this, you want to make sure you're getting around, again, the widest portion of the shoulder, because you don't want to go across the shoulder. You often see videos or photos of tailors taking a measurement like this for the shoulder. Again, if they're taking this measurement, it's based off of a pre-existing pattern, and they're matching it up to a pattern that isn't made bespoke for you. This is how we take our measurement in the bespoke world, because this is the true shoulder width. You see where the shoulder here comes out a bit more with your muscle, so you have to take that measurement. So go rounding, and then we're going to stop on the other side where the sleeve would meet. And again, like I said, this seems to be fairly close on the t-shirt.
So what you can't see is that there's like an arc going up and over the shoulders, and a little curve over here. And for me, it looks like it's right under this little bone in your neck, right back here. And from the shoulder bone up to that little bone, and over to the other side, give us the number, which is
45 and a half.
45 and a half.
I'm going to go 44 and a half because I'm taking out that.
44.5.
So as I mentioned, 45 and a half is from seam to seam on this shirt, but visually I can see that it's just a tad too long because where it starts to slope right here on the very corner. So that's something you may not even really notice, but for me as a professional, this makes all the difference, because when you take this centimeter and the centimeter on this side, that's 2 centimeters of excess space. So that's going to create peaking in your shoulder, and we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So with that being said, we have our shoulder measurement. From here, we might as well go ahead and get the sleeve measurement, because these two correlate directly. So what we're going to do is at the very same point that we took our shoulder width measurement, keeping in mind that I'm taking half a centimeter off each side, so I'm going to start in a little bit different place for this measurement. But with that being said, we're going to take the tape from that point where the shoulder ends to the elbow. We're going to want to pinch that tape, and then for the suit jacket, you want to stop, if you want to turn this here, you want to stop your measurement right here where your wrist is. There's a little bit of a Goldilocks zone. So a lot of this may be due to comfort, how you like to wear, how your styling is, but on average, you're going to want to go, you can write 66 and a half down here. And I'll demonstrate here. There's basically a little Goldilocks zone here in the wrist, basically where your wrist joint is and where the palm starts. You can see here, this is your Goldilocks zone. On a suit, jacket, the sleeve length, you want it to stop right in here. Anywhere in here is going to be perfect.
So what was that? That was the sleeve length?
Yeah, that's the jacket sleeve length.
Jacket sleeve, which is different than the regular sleeve.
Exactly. So we're going to now demonstrate what the shirt sleeve looks like. It is going to be different because of the construction style of a shirt. So the main difference is that, as you can see with my jacket here, you want about 2 centimeters of your shirt sleeve sticking out. Some folks may opt for a little bit less. It's very much a style choice. Some folks are a little less loud and flashy as I am, and I totally get that. So that's where you may have just a centimeter or so. It may vary from side to side. As you can see, I wear a watch on this side, so there's not as much sleeve showing. There's nothing on this side, so I have a little bit more sleeve showing. If I were to get everything all prim and proper for a photo shoot and get everything tightened up, you can see it's about 2 centimeters on this side and about 1 centimeter on this side. Cool, right? So
that
that's
was chipped in my can.
So with that being said, now for the shirt sleeve measurement, again, we're going to start at the same point that we started at on our shoulder width. We're going to go down to about the elbow and pinch the tape there. And then for the shirt, we're going to take this one down to about where the middle of the palm is. So essentially, the best indicator for a suggestion on that, you could stop right here where the first knuckle of your thumb is. The Goldilocks zone for your shirt sleeve is going to be in the meaty part of your palm all the way to the knuckle. Anywhere in here should be quite comfortable. Reason being is that when we design these shirts, we're designing them with a cuff in mind. Typically, a cuff is going to be quite a bit longer and then folded over. Even if you get a barrel cuff or an Italian cuff where it's one layer, we take that measurement so that in the case of a French cuff shirt where you would have the fold over, we already have the measurement. But if you go with a standard style shirt, we can adjust from there. Does that make sense?
See our video on cuffs coming soon.
Yes, we'll link to it here.
It's over here.
I would assume it's in this area.
It's down there. No, it's over there.
It's going to be in this general direction. So I didn't actually...
Also, in case you were paying attention, we're also taking away 1 centimeter from this sleeve because of the previous measurements we did before.
Yeah, so if you're noticing that and you're wondering why, that is because I'm actually adjusting for my client here. What I'm showing you is going to be what you want to take a look at, but we are adjusting it on our end for that different measurement there. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get the proper shirt sleeve. 69 centimeters for the shirt sleeve.
Now, I don't believe we talked about the point here on the elbow specifically because there seems to be a sweet spot here.
Yeah, so this is more for the sake of ease. It just allows you to manipulate the tape a little bit better. But obviously, you can tell there's a little bit of a curve to the arm as well. There's a natural seat to the arm. Sometimes it's a little bit forward, sometimes back or straight. That's something that's going to change and vary per person. So what I like to do is make sure that you can see I go down, and essentially where the arm starts to curve, that's where I pinch the tape. Because that's where the shirt sleeve itself is going to also do the same thing. It's going to follow that curve.
So this will be different on just about everybody.
Yeah, so that point there, you're gonna be able to kind of get a feel for where your natural arm follows. Also, reference photos are important for your tailor to be able to visualize the body shape and form. That's going to help us be able to create the perfect drape for you. So with that being said, I start here. I go to the straightest point until it starts to curve. I pinch that location there, and that allows me to hold onto this nice and tight. And then I'm turning the tape just to get that curve, and then I'm going to stop it where I need. In our case, it's going to be 69 centimeters.
69.
What was the jacket?
The jacket sleeve was 66.5.
Right, so keeping in mind 66 to 69, that's about that 4 centimeter spread. It's a little bit less than that, and exactly the amount of sleeve you want showing from your jacket to your shirt. Cool, right? It's pretty self-explanatory.
It's even better because it's 69.
Excellent. So,
as we make awkward eye contact, all three of us. That's an Eiffel Tower, I think. So we can get. That's another video
look
altogether.
me in the eye. We can't put that on the French. All right, excellent. So now we're gonna take Now we're going to take the bicep measurement, and this is going to be important because you want to make sure you get the thickest circumference of the bicep, especially in a position where it's going to be at its fullest. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and take a look. If you can put your arm down straight first. I usually like to get, hello.
I offered lots of food. He said no, he wants McDonald's.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's fine.
You know, I still have food,
Okay,
but I just wanted to
that's fair.
pass it
If
along
he,
because I'm about to make food.
that's fine. If he might pick that or not, he's
Okay.
picky like that.
Mine would say
He
I
might-
want McDonald's.
He might smell it and then change his mind. That for sure. Okay.
He's very polite about it. As long
No,
as it's
I'm super proud of that. I'm so proud of that. I really am.
Now we're going to take our bicep measurement. So it is very important that you take the fullest circumference and in a position where you're going to be at your fullest. So in this case, we're going to start in a relaxed position. I'm going to find the fullest portion of the bicep in that relaxed position. I'm going to keep 2 fingers in between the tape to give a little bit of breathing room. That's going to be great on a majority of your measurements because, as I mentioned, it's always easier to bring it in, not always as easy to take it out. Though with a bespoke garment, you do have a full 7-centimeter allowance, so it shouldn't be difficult with bespoke. Made to measure may be a little bit different, or if you're taking your measurements for alteration, something to keep in mind. So with that being said, I'm about 34 at a relaxed state. If you could move your arm up and forward like this. So I held my tape about 34. So do you feel like it's still pretty comfortable?
It is.
Not too tight. And I still have 2 fingers in here as well, so that way, even with everything, it's going to be quite comfortable, but it's going to be a very complimentary fit. So we'll go 34 on the bicep measurement. Okay, you can face forward now. So the next measurement we're going to do is the wrist measurement. And what I typically like to do is take both the left wrist measurement and the right wrist measurement. And the reason for that is because do you tend to wear a watch often?
I always do.
Is this the watch that you wear quite often?
This is one of the watches I wear.
Would you say that that's about the average size of your watches?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
great. So the reason for that is because the shirt sleeve, you're going to notice actually on mine even, my shirt sleeve on the right, the cuff is a little bit bigger. It has or it's actually a little bit smaller on the right hand side, whereas the left hand side is a little bigger to accommodate my watch. Clients may want something different. They may want them both the same. That's perfectly fine. Some people may wear quite a large watch, in which case you may want a bigger sleeve. Those are things that are going to be a personal preference choice. So you can just accommodate that in your measurements. Go ahead and include your left and your right measurement. That way we can design according to your taste. So with that being said, I'm going to take the measurement around the watch as it is. That's going to give us the best number. And I'm not gonna have any space in the tape or anything like that, like I would up here on the bicep or something. I'm gonna go ahead and get the exact measurement here, and we're looking at 22 and a half. So that way, the left sleeve is gonna be just the right circumference, so that if the sleeve can just sit just over the watch and slide right over. That way, it's still comfortable. It can move around. You can pop it out, check your watch, reseat yourself, and everything falls into place. And then we're going to take the right hand side. And again, no, we don't want any space in here because we want to get the exact body measurement for this, in which case it's going to be 17 and a half. Our next measurement is your neck measurement. Now I'd like to demonstrate something in between bespoke and ready to wear. A lot of times you have very broad measurements when it comes to shirt sizes. You'll have either a neck option and maybe a sleeve option. Most of the time you're purchasing shirts strictly based on the neck, and that doesn't really suit everyone. You might have a very large neck but a small frame. You might have a very small neck but a large frame. So it is not the best way to shop. That's why 9 times out of 10 you might buy the same 15 and a half neck size, but they all vary. And I'll explain why that is just after I take this measurement. So I'm going to take the measurement again with 2 fingers in between the tape. That way you have a comfortable breathing room. When you have your collar fully buttoned, you should be able to stick your 2 fingers in there and breathe and feel comfortable. You do not want a choking sensation. A lot of people do not find, you may want a choking sensation, and that's perfectly fine as well, but that's not how we fit our collared shirts. So in that case, you want to make sure you're breathing okay. A lot of people find it to be very uncomfortable to wear a suit and tie because of that. They feel like they're constricted, and if you feel that way, you shouldn't. So that's something you want to accommodate for in the sizing of your neck.
I'm trying not to keep
It's too easy, right?
choking and the stuff, and have fun with your clients, and always establish a safe word.
You'll build rapport with your clients along the way. I've known this guy for over 10 years, so we're a little closer than most of our clients.
Close to 15 years, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So with this measurement, I have my 2 fingers here. That way there's breathing room, and we're looking at about 38 on the neck size. So what I'm going to do, you can go ahead and jot that down, 38. So with that being said, we're about in the 38 range. If you flip it over, you're going to see it's about 15. But a size 15 in a ready-to-wear shirt is going to encompass this much space. So you're actually looking at a 2 to 3 inch variance on a 15 measurement, because a 15 is going to cover this range, whereas a 15 and a half is going to cover this range, 16, this range, and so on and so forth. So it's quite a wide variable. So that every manufacturer is different. They don't have any standard sizing in the fashion industry. The way we do things is based off of 8 generations of bespoke tailoring. This is what we found along the way. This is the best way to find the proper fit. And of course, every client is a little bit unique. So we do make sure that we are designing a pattern that's going to suit you for life, and your garments you're gonna want to wear them because they fit so well. That's a big important thing for us.
And on top of that, you may notice that both of our collars are popped, but that's because this is Florida and it's super hot down here. And beyond all that, we could button them if we chose and still breathe correctly.
Absolutely. Yeah, our climate down here is definitely a little bit hotter, and most of the time people look at me and they say, "Aren't you hot?" But what they don't realize is that this suit is actually quite a bit of an open weave. It's a very lightweight wool. It's very breathable, and honestly, I could go around wearing this 3-piece suit up to about 90, low to mid 90s, and I could be perfectly fine. It would feel like I'm wearing nothing more than a polo, just because of the composition of the fabric. Typically, folks think of wool and they think of scratchy, warm, uncomfortable wool. Nowadays, the mills can create a wide variety of fine compositions and open weaves to make clothing more breathable. As you mentioned, with us, we're just a little more casual today. Typically, what I would like to do is drop the jacket, and then I'll do a full formal button-up with a tie or a bow tie. That way, it's still quite comfortable, it's relaxed, but it has a formal look to it. So there's definitely a wide variety of options you can go to. This is what I would consider the Lucifer look. If you're familiar with the Netflix show Lucifer, he lives in LA. So as another climate where you would think, wow, it's going to be really hot to be wearing a 3-piece suit all the time, but everything he wears is a 3-piece suit. And it's often in the style, neck open, 3-piece, jacket open. It's quite comfortable, and honestly, if you get the right fabric and the right construction of your jacket, it should be perfectly comfortable all year round.
Yeah, like you were saying, my jacket here is black. You can't even really tell. It's bluish. It's got some purple highlights. It's very nice. The only reason why I pop my collar is because I sweat a lot, and I know that was drained into my lovely custom shirt here. I don't want to stand that because that's just me. I sweat a lot. So it's good. I'm super comfortable. I can use some jump kicks. I love that. I asked for that. The swimming is moving around the arms and stuff like that. It's all fun. All fun and games until somebody needs to get bounced, and then it's time to get serious.
Yeah, and then you can move. And that's another thing about bespoke that you don't have the opportunity for ready to wear. A lot of times they're not designed with the perfect fit, so you don't have the range of motion you would have in a custom fitted suit. We make sure that we have quite a tight armhole. That's why you can do jumping jacks. Like I can move around and I'm perfectly comfortable. It does not stretch or confine. Is that the constraint? There's not a lot of constraint in my movement because of the perfect fit. It's designed for me. It should act as a second skin, a 21st century suit of armor.
Chuck Norris would approve these action pants.
Wow. Cool.
Please don't sue us.
That's our neck.
Yes, we're on the neck.
All right, so I got the neck measurement, and that's good. So now we'll move on to the pants, and then we'll be fairly done. If you could turn to your side here. Excellent. Now we're going to move on to the pant length measurement. This is what you call an end seam. Many people will think of an inseam. That would be the measurement from the interior of the U-crotch down. That's a reference to a Friends episode. Most places are not going to take that measurement. There's really no need to take that measurement. The way that we understand fabric and pattern design these days, you can take an inseam measurement, you can take the U-crotch measurement, the hip and the waist, and you can put together a very complimentary fine seat. that is going to fit perfectly. So if for some reason you do have a tailor or alteration person taking an inseam measurement in your crotch area, you should probably find someone else to work with. It won't happen with us. And what we are going to do is take the end seam, and that's going to be the length of the pant. So what we need to know is, can you point to your belly button for us? Excellent. Can you swap sides for me? Okay, so the natural waistline is 3 fingers on average underneath your belly button. So for our suit here, we typically wear suit pants up quite a bit higher than a pair of jeans or ball shorts. So what you want is that symmetry. So where we're going to go is 3 fingers underneath the belly button, and that's where we're going to take our waist measurement. Now again, this is where you want to make sure that the client, if they've eaten, take a little bit of time to ask if they've eaten, if they're going to have a little bit more expansion when they eat, things like that. Any kind of bunching in the fabric like this, you want to try to pull any excess fabric aside, so that way you're not adding dimension to the tape. Otherwise, can you feel my tape?
I can.
Is it pretty comfortable?
It is.
So this is where this is going to be your waist. And I have 2 fingers here because, again, he hasn't eaten, so we want to accommodate a little bit of space. So if I take my 2 fingers out, what you feel now should be what your pants feel like. Does that feel like it'd be pretty comfortable?
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
There's plenty of room there.
Yeah, so there's plenty of room to not only breathe, but also there's going to be room if he expands a bit with a meal. And also, you shouldn't, at this point, need a belt. Belts are accessories. They're not necessary. You should not need a belt if your pants fit correctly. So with that being said, if his waistline is right here, it's at a point where if it were to drop any lower, we'd be getting into the wider hip area, so it has nowhere to move. With the proper fitting waist, you should not need a belt. If you need a belt, your pants don't fit. Does that make sense? With that, I'm going.
Your weight will fluctuate, so that's why we're leaving these 2 inches here. 2
Absolutely.
centimeters, 2 fingers.
2 fingers on average in the tape. That's going to give you a comfortable breathing room. For my client here, knowing that he hasn't eaten, I do have a little bit of excess. That's something that I'm making the choice to do based on my experience. What I would recommend is to have a meal and then about an hour, hour 20, go ahead and take your measurements at that point because you will be at your fullest. But otherwise, just account for a little bit of extra space. You can always alter in this instance. We can bring a waist in very easily. So if you are not super confident, add a little bit of extra room. We can always bring it in. For this one, I go 94.
94 for the waist. And then there's weeks where you're just sad and eat pizza every day, and you put your suit on and you feel so much better.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. It's like, oh, I still fit.
It still fits.
And if
it
you don't,
still fits all that pizza, and I still look good.
And if you don't, you get a gym membership. You go ahead and turn it forward for me now. All right, so that's our waist measurement.
Yes, we did not do the end seam. We skipped to the
Correct.
waist to get to the spots where we start the end seam.
Correct. So as I mentioned, the inseam is going to give us the length of the pant. The reason I took the waist first is because that's obviously going to tell us where we need to start that measurement. So again, you want to look for the belly button and 3 fingers underneath. That's your waistline. So that's where we're going to start. I'm going to drop down here and get the length. I don't think the camera gets the full length.
Okay.
So maybe just roll on this one.
Sure. There's also a very lovely scene in Police Academy 1 with Steve Gutenberg where he gets measured. Lovely man, Steve Gutenberg.
You want to
We'll
roll?
get you a suit, buddy. Give us a call.
Huh? So why don't you turn this way? And then if you could get down low, 'cause we're going to want to try to get this whole section here. So knowing that your belly button is here and 3 fingers under, we're going to start our pants right here. This is our inseam. So again, like we did in the sleeve, I go about halfway to where the knee is. I'm going to pinch that tape because then that allows me a little bit more flexibility. And then I'm going to go down here. This is going to be a point where you want to ask the client where they like the length of their pants to stop. There are a few style options. You can go with a half break, a full break, or you can go with a more modern look where it rises up quite a bit and has a tight contour. Those are all style choices. For our purposes, we want to try to go to the top of the shoe. Julian's not wearing shoes today, but I'm going to go ahead and estimate where it would be. We're looking at about 103. So with that being said, I'll have you swap out with me. You hold that camera, and you come take my measurement. Because that way you can demonstrate where my pants stops on my shoe. Does that make sense?
Now, just a second ago, you did stop at a certain point here. You went from the waist to here, and then from there to the knee. What was that first point you stopped at?
Yeah, so the reason I stopped halfway in this instance is
No,
more.
it wasn't the knee. It was like up here somewhere that you stopped on Mr. Julian.
Oh, that's just for sake of ease to manipulate the tape.
Okay,
So-
so that's like similar to what we did before when we were doing the arm, where we'd stop here and hold it and then pinch it there to adjust it to get the most accurate measurement possible instead of just guessing by this loose little string here.
Yeah, so you very well could hold it at its topmost point and then run your hand all the way down. But for the sake of ease and getting a tight and refined measurement, I typically like to stop about halfway, and then that way I can manipulate the tape a little bit better. You can see at the very top where my waist is, we're going all the way down. And in this case, I have a bit of a modern length to my pants. You can see that it sits just on top of the shoe with a very slight break. So that's where that measurement would end on this particular style. You can also change the style if you would prefer. You can have a little bit higher with more of a taper to it, such as this. You can also have a bit of a half break where it sits on the shoe, and then it's going to have a bit of a chunkier break here. Now, what I would not recommend is a full break. That is a very conservative and outdated look, and today, most cases, it's going to be considered too baggy or too long. I would never recommend a full break. Always ask for a half break or a more modern look if that's what your style prefer.
Do you know your measurement is off the top of your head?
I do not. My tailor takes my measurements. I can't measure myself, so my master tailor Lon takes
That's
all
fair.
mine.
So now, also speaking of fair, I just squatted down like no problem. I just barely pulled my pants up to adjust my keys because that gets tight down there. And here I am, comfortable. Just as much as I would be with shorts. I've got a bad knee, so that's starting to hurt a little bit. But beyond that, everything is still comfortable. The suit's not pulling tight anywhere. I still have room to breathe everywhere.
Yeah, so for everyone out there, you should be able to hard style for life in your pants. If you can't do this, your suit doesn't fit.
Okay,
That's going to be a good TikTok. If you can't do this, your suit doesn't fit. Hard style for life. Chop it up with some remix. All right, so that was the inseam.
the end scene. Yes, we did that. Okay.
Cool. So that's going to be
So
good.
that for you was specifically around just about 98 for him. With his particular style, that is, because he likes his above his ankle and no breaks, like he was saying earlier. But you can't see that over here, but we could probably see that over there.
Yeah, and I could cut over to a thing. Can you see my full body?
It's not on.
It's not on.
Oh my God, we haven't been recording this whole time.
Oh,
That's
it's not.
great. That's
Hopefully
the
it's still
best part
recording.
about production.
Oh, it's definitely not. Wow. Who knows when it stops?
Who knows when it stops? That's one of those things. This live is still going though. Hey, we can just cut this live. It'll be fine. We'll edit everything out, just like this part right here.
We could do
Maybe.
that. That's so weird. I guess it wasn't rolling the whole time.
Uh-oh. I sure hope you haven't been looking at it because I haven't been.
Well, I don't know. That's
Yeah, so while he's doing that, some of these little things here, I don't know if you can tell by the colors, but I've got these purple threads and this one little blue one right here. Just nice little details you can have. These buttons are all purple and shiny. They go with my vest, which I've chose all this. So many different colors, so many different patterns. If you have any concept of what the color wheel looks like, there's endless amounts of fun to be had. We are working on wand pockets for you Harry Potter freaks out there. I'm a Ravenclaw, in case you couldn't tell. It's very obvious, I think. But still, boom. I saw a couple flashes of purple from the buttons down here. You can't see that from far away. At least I can't see it on the screen, but flashes of purple here, threads.
I don't have room on my
everything,
phone.
Texture. Oh, we ran out of room on the
Storage.
phone.
We're gonna have to hire a team for this.
Oh, man.
That's all right. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the live stream. Honestly, I don't even know if we have anyone watching and or commenting because I've been
Doesn't matter.
focusing. We have nothing. Maybe people watch it later. Who cares?
Who cares?
Let's do it for our sake. I know it's like middle of the
So
day
we
on a
were at,
weekday too. So.
I put the thing down.
We're at inseam, I think. Let me hang my jacket up for the sake of longevity here.
Hopefully it is. So yeah, end scene is where we're at for Mr. Julian.
Alrighty.
Cool. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and finish it and have fun with the live while we're here.
Yeah,
Um, So don't hang your jackets on these plastic hangers. I need to look at this one now. Really what you want, I'm just doing this for the sake of ease, but you really need something with a round shoulder because you don't want your shoulder to learn its shape from a hanger. You want it to learn its shape from your body. If for some reason you don't have the appropriate hanger and you're putting them on thin hangers like this, what I recommend is to go ahead and put your suit on about half an hour, 45 minutes before your event. That way your suit has the opportunity to relearn the shape of your shoulder. It's going to help work out any kind of weird kinks and stuff like that. But for today, just for now, I'm going to hang it right there.
Question on that.
Yes.
I faked that by adding 4 or 5 plastic hangers together to get the width.
That's
Is that a
really,
good way? I zip tied them together
yeah.
because I'm cheap like that.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. There is definitely some DIY stuff at home. If you have a ton of extra hangers and stuff, combine them together. You could even take an extra bit of fabric or something and just wrap them around. That way it's a little soft. But there's definitely some ways out there. You don't have to go buy an expensive hanger. But if you come across one with a big wide shoulder, just hold on to it. Especially if you're out thrifting or something, you got to swap those hangers out. Keep the good ones.
And they're not that expensive to begin with. I just said they were, but they're not. It's really, I got like maybe 10 of them for $15. And they're good quality wood. You could drop it without shattering or splintering. It's good stuff.
Excellent. With all that being said,
You're on the end scene.
we were on the end scene, so I think I already got it. But where would you like your pants to stop?
Oh, that's right, because we didn't have pants on, so we did not do the end scene specifically.
Yeah, we don't have shoes on. That's the big thing.
There's some shoes right there.
I do wear shoes. I asked you earlier if I needed to put anything on.
You just need them on for right now. That way I can see where you want your pants to stop. Man, I can't believe we rolled the whole time. It just wasn't you.
No, this will be good. We can cut from. We'll cut from this.
Yeah, I think we can download this.
Absolutely, and then turn it into TikToks.
That's it.
Haha,
Chop it up.
suckers.
Chop it up.
That being said, I feel that my suit is too dark to film here. I just get lost in the darkness.
Yeah, we probably need to figure out
Move the lights around for next time too.
maybe tighter in. Like inward towards
Maybe tighter because there's a little bit of shadow. Like when you hold your arms up, there's some shadow across your chest. Anyway, next time.
Alrighty, so now we're going to take our inseam measurement. I have, Julian's got a pair of shoes on. They're going to act as pretty much a dress shoe. I don't think they can see your shoe anyway, but as far as where you would like your pant to stop, do you have a preference on your style? Do you like a half break or you want it to sit just above the shoe?
I would like to have rather low.
Rather low?
Yeah.
Okay, so a half break. So then what we'll do here, we're going to take our measurement, point your belly button for me. So I'm going to stop it just above the shoe. You want about a centimeter or so around the top for a nice half break. So that's going to be just around here. So I'm going to go 108.
108.
And I can do the pant bottom on here too. So what I do with the pant bottom measurement, for all those who can see me here in live land, I'm going to manipulate the tape to act as if it were the actual pant bottom. So that way the client can feel what that's going to look like. And that's where it's going to come in handy if you're going for a more modern look. They can get a feel for what the actual pant's going to feel like. So with that being said,
He's basically just faking the pant leg with the tape.
so your pant, the bottom of your pant would sit just like that. And you'll have about a half break. Does that seem comfortable?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so you're not going to have any of your socks poking out unless you sit down. You know,
yeah, that's perfect.
but otherwise it's going to sit just on top of the shoe. And I'll show the camera too.
39.
So what I did there was I basically manipulate this loop here would be the pant bottom. So I sit it just on top of the shoe to mimic what that pant bottom is going to look like. And then in that case, the customer can say, okay, I like the way that feels. It's going to be nice. It's going to be a little bit of a half break. If you want it to be a little bit more modern, then what you would do is take it up on the leg. That's going to adjust your inseam measurement. Keep that in mind. And then you're going to pull that tape in a bit tighter for more of a contour. And that's how you get that modern look, is by taking a tighter circumference a little bit higher up on the leg you do need to adjust your inseam measurement, your length of your pants if you're going to go for a modern look, because it's going to be a little bit higher up based on your preference, and that pant bottom is going to be a little bit tighter as well. And then with that being said, we can go ahead and finish off the rest of the leg measurements. The next one is the U-crotch, and this is a very important one because this measurement is what determines how your seat is going to fit. A lot of times, especially when you're wearing jeans or ball shorts, we have a lot of excess fabric here in the middle between our thighs because the U-crotch is way too big. Most times, more times than I care to admit, people that I have consultation with, they don't really know any better, so they have a lot of excess fabric here, and when they sit, it builds a bridge. So I think, can we see this chair in the shot? I'll show the bridge.
Yeah,
Okay, so basically,
no bridges to be built.
we're going all in. Here we go. So when you sit down, you should not have fabric cutting across here. It should be very comfortable. You should be able to spread your legs or do any of this type of stuff very comfortably. You can see I can do all kinds of wacky stuff here.
All the man spreading necessary.
And lady spread too. Whatever you like.
Spread.
But you should have plenty of, you should have room to be comfortable, but you don't want excess U-crotch because that's not going to give you a comfortable seat. It's not going to complement your rear end. It's not going to complement your hip area in general. So I'll show you what the U-crotch looks like. And this one is a little bit more intimate. So as I mentioned, this measurement you see from the Friends episode where they're getting in your crotch and doing all that, that's unnecessary. This is a little bit more intimate, but it's not super terrible. What we're going to do, point to your belly button. 3 fingers under the belly button, keeping in mind this is where the waist measurement starts. That's where you start your tape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you hold this tape just where it's at. You hold that. I'm going to go in here. You want to try to have dress pants on in this case because you don't want excess fabric. It's going to manipulate the length. So I'm going to pull it uncomfortably tight first. Can you feel my tape?
I can't feel your tape.
It's quite uncomfortable.
I wouldn't like it there. No.
Okay, great. So now what I want to do, because
Yeah.
now we can feel the tape, now we know where we don't want it. So now what I'm going to do is loosen it up a bit until it's comfortable.
Okay.
And feel free to shimmy around a little bit. Make sure it's going to be nice for you. Pretty comfy?
I cannot feel it anymore.
Excellent. So he can't feel it, but I have the tape tight enough to where it's not going to create a bridge or have excess fabric. So with that being said, we're going to be looking at 73. So you want to make sure this is tight. You don't want excess fabric. If you're measuring with jeans on, don't. If you have jeans on, please tighten it up because jeans are a very thick fabric and often they are extra low in the U-crotch because that's how they design jeans for some reason. You can go ahead and drop the tape. But the U-crotch is important because this measurement, along with the hip measurement and the waist measurement, that's what creates your seat, and that's what's going to complement the rear end. Here.
Gluteus maximus.
Gluteus maximus. Exactly.
How would we say that in German, sir?
Arsch.
Arsch. Okay, that was simple.
Good stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and get the thigh measurement. So obviously in the thigh measurement,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There's no slang for booty or butt in German or anything like that?
Oh, there is. There's a couple of them.
Okay, which one? Give us one.
what's the booty slang?
Hintern. Arsch. Seriously, guys, I don't use those words a lot. You know,
Okay.
I'm a decent guy.
He's a very,
He's a
very
gentleman,
nice gentleman.
which is why we're getting him a suit.
He would never talk about rear ends
Objectifying.
as much as we do. But granted, we design clothing, so it makes sense for us. All right, so we're gonna take our thigh measurement now. So basically, what we want to do again, we want to make sure we have the widest circumference of the thigh. This is where all of your seat is going to come together, and your pant leg is going to start out in your thigh area. So what we're going to do is take it at its widest point. Again, making sure we are moving any excess fabric. This is a fairly lightweight, short material, but there is some excess fabric, so I'm folding it over so I don't have any extra.
Are you doing the 2-finger technique on this one as well?
I am, and that's going to give you just a little bit of the ease, so you're still going to have a very nice complementary thigh, but it's not going to be like skin tight. Does that make sense?
Yes, so we're adjusting for the clothing he has on and for the 2 fingers for comfort.
Yeah, so if I weren't doing 2 fingers, my tape would be even tighter. And if I weren't accounting for that bunching, it would be too loose. So there is a happy balance. I gotta make sure I'm moving any excess fabric out of the way, keeping my 2 fingers in there to maintain a comfortable feeling, because what you're feeling in the tape is what your pants will feel like. So it's fairly comfortable on your thigh there.
Oh yeah,
It's not too tight.
that'll be fun.
So we'll go 63 and a half. Excellent. So now that we have our widest circumference, now we're going to start to taper down. That's where we're going to capture our knee measurement. Now I will say that I would always recommend taking both thigh measurements, because obviously one side of the body is worked more than the other due to your dominant hand. So I always want to make sure I cross-check those measurements to make sure I find a happy balance. So with that being said, what I have on the other one? 63 and a half.
63.5, yes.
Yeah, so this one, I'm at 61 and a half. So obviously you're right-handed?
I am, sir.
Right-handed, so that makes sense why his right thigh would be a little bit bigger, because that's where the majority of the dominant muscle group is going to be working. So you have a little bit more muscle on the right thigh than the left. So finding a happy balance between those numbers is typically what we would do, unless it's a drastic difference. And then what we would do is go ahead and accommodate for each size. Did you notate both?
It was 61 point what on the other side?
61 and a half.
So 61.5.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
about like a 2 centimeter difference there. So basically what we could do is just take the shorter side and add a centimeter and then drop a centimeter from the other side for the perfect balance. That'll make sure that they're both going to be good. Although if it were much more drastic than that, like I said, I would specifically, I keep looking at this camera, it's not on. Specifically, I would, it's not even rolling. Specifically, I would balance them if it was too drastically different.
Yeah, so that being said, I have a knee brace on. Well, I don't have it on today, but when I got my suit measured, he had me put it on so that way we can accommodate for the extra 1.5 inches it took on that side of my body. So my left leg was like maybe 4 inches bigger than my right leg, just because centimeters bigger because of that brace, which I am not wearing today. But you wouldn't be able to tell if I was, because the pants are cut that nicely.
Yeah, so what we did in that case was I took all of the body measurements without the brace first. That way I had true body measurements. Then we took the measurement of the physical brace itself, and then that way we could adjust that side of the pant to accommodate the brace. Now, if you're looking at it, as he mentioned, he's not wearing the brace now, but it looks appropriate. It looks like it should fit properly. If he were to put his brace on, you shouldn't be able to see it. It'll flow right into it, and everything should still maintain its line pretty well, because we allowed for that extra space there in the accommodation. And that's something we can do for any number of things. If there's braces or body parts and things that have different, I don't know what you call, like amputees have arm, like their, is there a terminology for that?
Oh man, I want to say something that would get us in trouble, like attachments, robot
Accessories. Accessories, any type of, body accommodations. The beauty of Bespoke is that you can do anything you want. So, for example, if you have one arm, no legs, none of that matters. I can still make you a suit if you're wheelchair bound, if you have strange body proportions, and I say strange as in different from industry standard. You're beautiful. You are the way you are. Be you and wear fine clothing. I would love for that.
Let us make you that
Yeah,
suit.
we can definitely help you with that.
And that being said, even if you have extra large proportions, the suit price doesn't change because of the amount of cloth used in the suit.
Absolutely, yes. That is one thing that you will often see in retail stores, ready to wear. If it's anything over like a 4 or 5X, you're getting charged, you're getting taxed for extra fabric and construction. That is not the case here. We design for you the perfect fit regardless. So the price is the price is the price. It's going to be perfect.
Would it be fair to say if you had no legs, we'd give you half off?
Maybe not half, but I will give you free pants. Does that seem fair? All the work's in the jacket. There's a lot of hand craftsmanship that goes into the jacket, but yeah, I mean,